Welcome, Yamhill County, to Speaking Frankly. I'm your host, Howie Harkema, and our tagline is, "And how we doin'?" And thank you for watching today. Today I have as a guest the transit manager for the YCTA, Cynthia Thompson. Welcome, Cynthia.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
We're so glad you're here, and maybe you can explain some things that people aren't aware of with the YCTA.
I would love to do that.
Yes. So is the YCTA a department of Yamhill County?
Well, we operate much like a department, but actually Yamhill County Transit is a county service district, and it was formed in 2007 and actually adopted by resolution by all the 10 municipalities within Yamhill County.
I see. So you're kind of like a contractor to the county.
Sort of. I mean,
In
a little
strange
closer
way.
relationship than that, because it is what a county service district what it means is rather than a standalone transportation district where you elect 7 board members.
Right.
A county service district, basically the board of commissioners are the board of directors.
I see.
So they are the governing body that makes the decisions about the transit agency.
And so does one of the commissioners sit on your board?
Yeah, well, all of them do.
Oh, actually.
The board of directors are the board of
I see.
commissioners, and then they elect a chair that's the board, and they just listen to transit-related issues.
Right.
Many times, transit issues will go to the board of directors, and then they'll also go to the board of commissioners, depending on what the subject matter is.
Very good. So when did the YCTA become a service district?
That happened, it actually was formally adopted in 2007, but then the county contracted with 2 nonprofit providers, and then they started contracting with a professional transit service provider in 2012.
Okay, very good. So what is your background? We talked yesterday briefly about this, but...
So my background, I've been working in public transportation for, I'll age myself, 30 years. Hard to say that I've been in 30 years, but I have, and I started out, I've worked mostly rural and suburban transit systems. I did have a stint for about 5 years working for the city of Portland on alternative transportation,
Okay.
but I was primarily an employee of either cities or transportation districts and managing smaller transit systems. Then I started my own business in 2007. So I've been now helping transit systems, still doing a lot of the same type of work, but I do it on a contract basis. So I started working in Yamhill County as a contract manager in 2015.
And you were an auditor for that as well at some point?
No, transit agencies have to conduct, the Federal Transit Administration and Oregon Department of Transportation, they do every 3 years an audit of the entire system, and they look at 10 different areas of the system. So I originally was brought on to help with the audit, but then ended up turning into a longer term arrangement, and so I stayed on as a manager.
Well, there's a lot of people that ride the bus.
Yes.
In Yamhill County and elsewhere. So what is the current cost for a one-way trip, and how many buses are in your fleet currently?
We own about 30 buses, well, actually a few more than that. We've been working on our fleet and getting it in order, and we've gotten a lot of new buses, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
Yeah.
But we had I skipped your first part of your question, which was single one-way trip is $1.25. It's actually very reasonable to ride Yamhill County Transit. So it's $1.25. You can also get a monthly pass for $35.
Wow.
You can get a 10 ticket pass for $18, and then if you do the door-to-door service, that's a different price.
Well, that's really reasonable.
Yes, it is very reasonable.
So YCTA recently finished a 3-year transit development plan. Let's talk about that.
Yes, that was a big deal.
I'm sure.
A big time commitment, and before I forget, I want to hold this up. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it.
Yeah, she's got
the graphic up.
No, go ahead now.
So this is just a copy of the transit plan. You can find this plan on our website, and then she had the graphic up there that shows you where.
Right.
You just go
Can you bring that graphic, back up on the screen?
And it has 2018 Transit Development Plan.
Right.
You can have a copy of the entire plan, and there's still information up there from the minutes and meetings.
Is it a PDF file
Yes,
or a
it is
downloadable?
a downloadable PDF file.
Awesome.
It's a very big deal because it took us we got a grant from the Transportation Growth Management Department as part of the Department of Transportation, and took about 3 years to do all the outreach. We had lots of meetings. We talked to hundreds of people and had a committee that oversaw it all. And I've been involved in many plans over the course of my career, and I have to say I'm very proud of this one. I think this plan is a really, really good plan, and it's got everything. If you want to know anything about transit, go to the website, download it, and if you like that sort of reading, you can read about how are we funded, what service do we currently have, what service do we plan to have, what are our bus fleet, everything about all the every type of bus we have, what we plan to do, everything.
So the plan includes short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals.
It does.
Yeah,
Correct.
that's awesome. So state employee payroll taxes generate almost $1 million a year for transit. So this new funding will help you pay for the proposed improvements. Talk about that.
Yes, there was House Bill 2017. Some folks may know about that. It did something that I really didn't think would ever happen, but there's a statewide employee payroll tax that helps fund public transportation all throughout the state of Oregon. It's a really great thing, and for Yamhill County, the timing couldn't have been better. We finished the plan, this new funding happened. You have to have a plan to be able to access the money and get the funding. And so now we have a plan and we have a prioritized list of projects, and that funding is going to help pay for many of those improvements. So we've already implemented some changes in April and another set of changes in September. So it's very exciting. I mean, it's the main sources of funding for Yamhill County Transit are our grant funds. We get 2 federal sources, another state funding, and then this new funding. And then the county contributes about $500,000 a year.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. So YC Transit received delivery of 10 new buses over the summer and 4 more to come, plus 2 minivans to be delivered. Talk about that.
Well, when I got here, the bus fleet concerned me. We had a lot of old buses and a very mixed match of all different kinds of buses. So I've spent a lot of my time writing grants and securing funding to get new buses. So we were very excited. Last summer, we got the first round of deliveries. We got 10 new buses. We got some larger size, which 30-foot bigger buses, some medium size that are more the local service, and then we have new buses that are just being delivered. We don't have them on site yet, but we'll have 4 more of the mid-size and 2 minivans. So the goal, obviously, is to have consistent fleet, so you don't have a whole bunch of different types of buses. It makes it more effective, more efficient for maintenance and all sorts of things. And so we just have to keep at that. It's an ongoing process because we put a lot of miles. We put over 600,000 miles a year on the buses, and it goes fast. It's amazing how quickly you can, be time for a new bus. You need to buy a new one because you've already got 500,000 miles on it. So
and are the 2 minivans for dial-a-ride?
So they're usually what we do is we use them. The supervisors use them, and then they're backup dial-a-ride. And we have a smaller, like a 12-passenger van that we use that is used for dial-a-ride. And the goal is that every bus will be a ramp access low floor bus. So that is our entire fleet. Eventually will be that. We're almost there. I mean, all the new buses are low floor ramp access.
So most of them are ADA compliant for wheelchairs.
All are ADA, but we're switching from a lift that goes up, and you have to, to a ramp that folds out.
That makes it so much easier.
Oh, it does. Yeah, it's a lot better.
So the transit just completed your request for proposal for a service provider that'll handle the operation and maintenance of the system. How does that work?
So the county contracts with a professional transit provider that does, and in our case, they handle all the operations. So they hire all the drivers, they do all the operations, and they do the maintenance. And they even provide the maintenance facility for the maintenance. So currently that is First Transit, and it's time for us to do another request for proposal. So we're in the midst of that. We're not finished with it. We literally just received the proposals yesterday.
Okay.
So now we'll go through a process of review and interviews, and then the county will select a vendor for going forward for a 5-year contract.
And you will make a decision in 2020 to
The plan is to have the new contract in place by February 2020.
That's great. Talk about the improved access on Saturdays along Highway 99. I think a graphic needs to come up, is that
Yeah,
correct?
so primarily we added a dial ride, which we don't have a graphic for that, but
Right.
there's now additional dial ride service on Saturday, which is there never has been.
That's
that.
fantastic.
Yeah, that's great. And then we did add some dial ride in Newburgh and at Yamhill during the week as well.
Okay.
But then on routes 44 and Route 22, we basically made some changes, added some stops, made connections better for those two routes so people on Saturday can access Highway 99 and go shopping, do whatever they need to do. Previous to this, it was a little more challenging. We've made it so that we didn't really add a new route, but we've modified those so that they can be used for that service.
So Route 44 goes to Tigard,
Goes to Tigard.
and you have a 44X, which is
That's
an express.
That's right. It's a morning and an evening express that goes to Tigard. And then 22 goes to Grand Ron.
Right.
And it goes through Sheridan and Willamina.
Yep. So schedules and times, fixing the problems and correcting timing of Route 44 in particular. Talk
Right.
about that one.
Well, Route 44 is our busiest route. We have like 9 round trips to Tigard every day, and it's the highest ridership route
I'm
that
sure.
we have. The timing on that was not accurate up to this point, so we had a lot of complaints about it being late because really the timing wasn't really right. And then we had all the issues with traffic and before the bypass was built,
Sure.
and all of those sorts of things. So we've adjusted the timing to be more realistic to what's actually happening, and so now, since we put the service changes in place September 9th, we really haven't heard anything but good things from
Good.
folks. So finally, if you have a bus system, people need to be able to depend on it. They need to know that
But
if
the
it says
timing's
the
gonna
timing
work.
is this, then
Yeah.
it's at least close to that, and so I think that we're getting there.
It has to make your
That's right.
ridership very happy
Yes,
that the timing now is working.
Yes, I hope so. I think it's going well. We haven't heard too many complaints, so that's good.
So all bus shelters now have schedule and route information in them.
Yes.
Because most of them did not for a
No,
long,
no,
long
no.
time.
No, that was one of the. I've gotten a lot of complaints over the years since I've been here, and so now they may have a graphic to it for it also, but we put up new information, and there's one panel that shows you the entire system.
Yeah.
So we serve. For those who don't know, Yamhill County Transit goes to Grand Ron, to Hillsborough, meets up with Max there, goes to Tigard, meets up with a number of bus lines, including West Train, and then it goes to Salem. And then we have local service in McMinnville, local service in Newburgh, and then demand response service, dial-a-ride type service in McMinnville and Newburgh. So now the graphics in the shelters have all that information. They show you the big system, they show you the local system, they show you the times, they have all the information. And now we don't have shelters everywhere. And
I know.
And we don't have bus stop signs. That's a high priority on our list, but there's some things we have to do to get that done. Virtually all the stops are online, but they're not physically. We don't have a signpost everywhere.
Right. So would you like to show some of your brochures
Yes,
of scheduling?
I'd love to. So these are our new schedules. Let's see where I can see here.
I think if you hold it up to this camera,
there
number
we
3.
go. So there's a copy, and one thing you can see is we're going with kind of a color-coded look for our new bus wraps. So the green eventually will be our local bus. The tan front is more the demand response, and then the orange is the commuter. Currently, we don't have enough buses. We might put a bus on one type of route and then another.
Sure.
So this isn't a perfect system yet. But our goal is, so we haven't,
Is there a perfect
we haven't
system?
really marketed this or anything quite yet. But that is our goal. Eventually, people will be able to go, oh, they'll know by looking at it that it's a local bus. So, but the new schedules, they're big. They open up. They have larger size maps. They have all the times. They have all the information that you need for like what the fares are and everything else. So
And they're both in English and Spanish?
Yes, they're in English and in Spanish, and they're on the website. Now, our website, that's the next thing on our list. So if you go to our website, You're not going to love everything about it, but
it's being rebuilt.
It is being rebuilt, and right now, when you pull up the schedule, it's too small. So we're fixing that, but you can get a hard copy of these on the buses. You can get them at the transit center, and you can get them at the commissioner's office. So we'll have them around town, and then now we have the information in the bus shelters as well.
And maybe have some of them at the Chamber of Commerce office?
Yes.
Because a lot of people go in there for information.
Yeah.
So, Ian, if you could bring this graphic that's in behind us up on the screen, I'm going to have Cynthia talk about this for a moment.
So this is an example of the graphic that is in the bus shelters, and this you can see where we serve and the color code. And the color coding of all the routes. And then this is our commuter route one, and then there's another one. The next one, I believe, shows you the local service. And that's the one. It shows you this is McMinnville and this is Newburgh map, and then that's all the schedule.
And then down below is the entire
Yes,
service
that's right.
area.
And actually, that's Saturday's commuter. So down below, we ended up adding our Saturday. We used to have a separate schedule for Saturday.
Right.
Now we've combined it so Saturday is on the, so for example, the Saturday service operates on the Route 22 and 44. So now that's all combined into one schedule.
That's so much easier.
I think it's better. Still a lot of information, so I know some of those, if you're like me and you're in your middle-aged, you have to pull out your glasses, you're like, okay, I really wish this was a little bit larger, but it's a lot of information. You got to do the best you can.
So all your buses have been recently rewrapped.
Yes.
In a beautiful graphic, by the way.
Well, thank you.
And it has your logo, but it also has all of the locations you serve on them now.
Yep.
And it didn't used to have that.
No, it didn't. No. And I think it's I've learned over the course of my career that we don't have a lot of money for marketing when you're getting government funding for transit. And the one thing you do have is your bus. And your bus is essentially a moving billboard.
Exactly.
And the best use, I believe, and the county has agreed with this, is to use it to tell people where we go, where we serve, what are the communities that we serve, and give out information about the bus system. And so I think it's an effective use of that. And then they look better, and they're not just, previously you would see a white bus roaming around, you might think it's, you don't know what it is, where it is. We noticed a ridership increase, especially in Newburgh, but literally the week after the buses arrived and they were wrapped. Because I'm sure people were like, what's that bus? We don't know. And then all of a sudden they know what it is and they call and ask and get information.
Well, it's a beautiful job. Whoever developed those graphics, they did a great job. So if I wanted to go on a YCTA bus to the beach, and I was getting on in McMinnville, walk us through what that route looks like and where we would get off, and does it go to Lincoln City, or can I get on another bus and go to Tillamook? Or
so right now, I won't know the times, but
I know you
we
won't.
could walk you through that. If you called dispatch, they could help you out. You would catch the Route 22 if you were at the transit center, and that would take you to the Grand Ron Casino.
Right.
And then at the casino, two other bus lines come there. Tillamook Transportation District serves there, and then also Lincoln City. So you could get to either Lincoln City or to Tillamook. And then also the Tillamook service provides a link to Salem as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
So if I went to Spirit Mountain and I gambled for a little while,
Right.
I could jump on a bus and go to the beach and get my yayas out, and then get on another bus, come back to Spirit Mountain, and then back into
But you better
McMinnville.
check the time.
Yeah, of course.
Because you might have to spend the night somewhere, depending on what time of day you went. Because we
Exactly.
don't have a lot of trips. We have, I want to say 5. I'll look it up. But we do our best to link our times with other transit providers that we meet up with. But there's so many that sometimes they don't match extremely well. The good news is you could go in and have fun in the casino and wait an hour and then catch the next bus. So you just have to plan it out.
Right.
But it's very possible. You can get all over. I mean, really, you can go to Hillsborough, catch Max, go all the way to the airport. It's a longer ride, but it's very inexpensive. So, I mean, if you don't mind riding and looking at the scenery, you could get, for $1.25 on our system, and Max at $2. I don't remember what their one-way fare is, $2.75, I think. You could get all the way to the airport.
That's not bad at all.
Yeah.
So if I was at the casino and I knew the last bus out, that would work. So
Yes.
what is your latest out?
Let's look, because I'm terrible about remembering this stuff. So let's just see what it is.
Because I know each
that's
situation's different.
So the last bus out of McMinnville, let's find the one to Monday through Grand Ron back to McMinnville. The last one leaves at 5:40 p.m. Monday through Friday. The last one on Saturday leaves at 4:56.
Very good. So it's mid-afternoon.
Yes.
Yes.
So you couldn't go like have fun, stay out there late, and get back. You'd have to spend the night and come back in the
Gee,
morning.
that would be horrible, just have to stay there.
Exactly.
So if I wanted to go to Portland and do Christmas shopping and then still get back to McMinnville on the same day.
That's possible, because the 44 route has more options. So there's a few ways you could do it, depending where you're going, but I think the quickest would be Transit Center, catch the 44.
Right on Barbara Boulevard.
Yeah, and it takes you up to the Tigard Transit Center, and there you can catch the 12 line. There's a number of buses you can catch, but the 12 takes you right downtown. And that one, we have a number of trips starting as early as 5 in the morning and going as late as the last one leaves, I don't have my glasses on, but I think leaves from McMinnville at 6:12. But coming back from Tigard, the last one is at 7:30. So you'd have time. You could go in. You could spend the day. You could go shopping. You could get back.
Do the whole thing.
And then the 12 line from Tigard, it's very frequent. It's a frequent line. I want to say it's every 15 minutes or maybe every 20 minutes. So you don't usually have to wait very long. Yeah, we don't have that frequency, but TriMet has a lot of different options to get into Portland.
Right, and their bus stops are marked really well.
They are.
So you know where they are.
And I think at the Tigard Transit Center, there's also the bus that goes to Washington Square.
Yeah.
So I think you could also look at the timings for that. You'd be able to go over and go to Washington Square.
I think it goes down Greenberg and around over to the mall.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Dial-A-Ride. Let's talk about Dial-A-Ride a little bit, because a lot of people are confused by how this works.
Right. So Dial-A-Ride we have two types of Dial-A-Ride. One that is called the ADA Paratransit, and that is required by the Americans with Disabilities Act. And any transit system that has a local fixed route has to have a door-to-door type service that is available to people who can't access the fixed route. They might not be able to access it because they can't get up to the bus stop. They might not be able to access it because of whatever their disability is. So they get certified, they get a card, then they get door-to-door service. So there's a lot of parameters I won't go into for that. Then we have a general public Dial-A-Ride, and the general public Dial-A-Ride is first come, first serve. It's really based on if you call and we have availability, you get a ride. Primarily the door-to-door service is in McMinnville and Newburgh. We're trying to expand beyond, and we've added Dial-A-Ride service thanks to this new funding.
Right.
So we can do more, like we're starting to do more trips in Willamina and Sheridan and from other places. But Yamhill County's 750 square miles.
Exactly.
It's a big area. So we don't do as good of a job serving some of the smaller communities. Now the plan includes, that was a priority of the committee and of our current Yamhill County Transit Advisory Committee, is to make sure that that is a focus, that we want to improve service in some of these smaller areas. That requires the smaller areas being interested in that and helping us decide what do they want. Do they want Dial-A-Ride? Do they want a little shuttle? What do they want? And then we can work with them and do our best to implement something.
So the town fathers in the West Valley come to one of the committee meetings and they tell you what they would like you to provide.
They could. We also have representatives on our committee that come from all around.
Okay.
So the Yamhill County Transit Advisory Committee has parameters. There's people who represent elderly, disabled, also the communities, also service providers, nonprofits. There's a whole mix of folks that serve on that committee. So if someone was interested, they could serve on the committee. They could just attend the meetings, either the YCTA meetings or the board meetings. And those are, the committee meetings are quarterly, and the board meetings, of course, are more frequent.
And so Caroline's bringing up the graphics for the committee meetings.
Yeah, on our website.
Right. And could you bring up that next graphic, Ian, of how to maneuver into the website to find out more information about the committee meetings? There it is.
So if you look under Inside YC Transit, then you can go to I would go to the Yamhill County Transit Advisory Committee. That's the logical one to go to. It's in the day. It's at 3 o'clock in the afternoon in room 32 at the Yamhill County Courthouse. And people come and they give us, comments on what they like or don't like. They, a whole range of things,
Sure.
And that group is responsible for deciding priority of the projects that are coming up and a whole variety of other things. So
if you're going to go to one of those meetings, be sure that you don't have too much metal in your pockets and stuff, because they make you empty every piece of metal and put it through the scanner to make sure it's not all strange. Not that we would have such a problem in Yamhill County. So lastly, let's talk about STIF and its acronym and what it means, and then STF.
So STIF stands for State Transportation Improvement Fund.
Okay.
And that is the new funding that we talked about previously.
Right.
So, and that was just recently adopted. They just completed the rules, and we're just beginning to, that funding and the projects for that funding are rolling out. STF stands for Special Transportation Fund.
Right, which is
and
different.
That's for elderly and disabled services. Now they're in the process, actually right now, of combining those two. So they're actually holding meetings at this moment, really, maybe even today, there was a meeting talking about how they're going to possibly combine them and put them all into one fund and still meet the goals of those two funding sources.
So will they create a new acronym at that point?
I don't know. I wish. They did talk about it, but I think there was just too much going on that was too hard to change it. One thing I want to say before you run out of time is...
And you've got a minute, so
is that,
say anything you need.
I just want to say thank you because, I love community transit. I think it's just a wonderful thing. And when communities step up and have a community transit system,
Yes.
there's so many benefits to it. And it takes a lot of people. And there have been so many people in Yamhill County who've made this happen. There's leaders, there's commissioners, there's committee members, there's local citizens who cared about it. There's all the people who were out driving the buses. And, it literally does take a lot of people, and of course the writers who choose to ride the bus. So I just want to say thank you, and it's been a real privilege and an honor for me to be able to be part of it and to participate here in this system.
Well, there's a lot of great nonprofits that hand out a lot of free passes, so people that can't afford it actually can ride the bus and get to where they need to go, and it's just fabulous. Community in McMinnville, Newburgh, all of the outlying areas really care about their citizens.
They do.
Especially the elderly and the ones that have disabilities of some sort. Because it's not easy to get on a bus in your wheelchair and then get off and be wheeled somewhere that you really need to go, like a medical appointment or such. Kudos to the YCTA for all you've done to make all of this work so proficiently.
Thank you. And I think we're just beginning to see where it's going to go. I think, we're really just at the very baby step one, and I think the transit system can really become something pretty amazing over time.
I think it has.
Yeah,
thank you, Cynthia.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for being on today.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching.